Let me just start with this, if I may. YouTube is stupid sometimes.
And that's our show. Thanks for coming tonight, guys.
No,
Good evening.
So I have been specifically turning off that stupid translate feature in the chat for like every show.
Oh.
But I've found that YouTube is actually turning around and turning it back on. I can uncheck that box, have everything set. I launch the stream, and all of a sudden I'm looking at the chat and things are getting translated. So I went and turned it back off again. We'll see.
Thanks again, YouTube, for another feature no one asked for.
I know it. It's nuts. So on that note, welcome to Sidebar, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This show is based on things that piss off Dan. Or at least that's the start of it.
I don't think it's exclusive to pissing off Dan, though.
No, but I was vocal about it.
Yeah,
that's kind of why I picked it. That's why I kind of picked it, because I knew this would be a good conversation.
Started happening, like, yep, and we're talking about this.
So I believe
okay
it was,
with that. That's why I was silent in the sidebar chat about it.
So I'm pretty sure it was yesterday. And was he was on like a parole violation, right? This guy? I think that was the basis for it.
Yes.
But he was violated. So this was a felon. And he was violated because he was in possession of body armor.
Yep.
And it turns out, thank you, Ashley and Austin, for your research, that he was violated because there's actually a federal law that prohibits certain violent felons from having body armor. And this is based, at least in part, on the North Hollywood shooting, whatever, that happened like back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And there were other things that were cited as well when this law was passed. But because some dude or dudes were difficult for the cops to shoot dead, the response is, if you're a violent felon, you cannot have passive protection for yourself. I have huge gaping issues with that. But before I completely dominate the program, I'm going to shut up. You guys let me know what I'm saying.
Don't shut up. This is why we're here. Kick us off, Dan.
I think I just did.
Yeah, he just kicked us off.
I mean, yeah, this is the kind of this is one that I think. I mean, I could just go downstairs and just let Dan go, because I know he could take over the whole hour with it.
I could do an hour on it.
I'll just say this about it. I guess this is this is not just a Texas law.
Yeah.
This is actually, I guess it's and I know other states have it codified into their laws as well, but I guess it's federal. It's weird, though. I'm sorry. I find it weird. Okay, felons not able to possess firearms. I guess, that part I can kind of get, especially violent felons not being able to possess firearms. Okay.
Yep.
But body armor, I mean, I still think, okay, you've done your time. You've served your time, Body armor can't kill anybody, okay? Body armor is just something you can wear to protect yourself, especially, I don't know why you'd want to walk around your neighborhood all the time wearing body armor, but maybe you live in an area that, like we were talking about in the pre-show.
35th and Union Hills.
Maybe you live someplace in a bad area of the major metro area, like the Phoenix metro area or Atlanta or New Orleans or wherever. And maybe you want to walk around with body armor because maybe some of those areas are not safe. Why? Even if you're a convicted felon, that's just kind of weird. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know. It's again, I understand the whole not allowing violent felons to have firearms.
Okay.
All right. So if I may, real quick. Let me set an expectation straight away. This is probably going to get fiery tonight, especially from me. So I want everybody in the chat to know that I love you. Let's get that out of the way right now. Julie, I don't know what you're saying. To say there is no reason at all to wear body armor in public. Who is any person to tell some other person what they can or cannot wear to help themselves feel safe. There, I threw out the feel word that everybody loves too. I'm just saying. And look, I'm not trying to start shit with you, but in the same respect, I don't get it. So draw it for me in crayon. How can you say that there's no reason for somebody to wear it if that's what they want?
I'll play that. I'll play that card. I think with felons, especially those with violent felons that were convicted of violent felonies, they're not supposed to put themselves in certain situations anyway. They're supposed to try to stay out of trouble as much as possible. And so I understand the point in regards to they're not supposed to be, like looking for trouble. And if they are, like, they're doing something very wrong. But I get that. But at the same time, I was kind of torn about this, actually, because I do understand that point. And I understand that you can put other people, if they, like, for instance, if they hold somebody hostage, for instance, and they hold them at gunpoint, and then an officer tries to try to save the hostages and tries to put the guy down and can't very easily because he was wearing body armor. I can't understand that point too. So I'll throw out those points.
It's kind of a reading comprehension moment I had just between that exchange with Julie there. There's no reason to wear body armor. Like, not that there's no reason. My brain, living in the very privileged position I live in, like, I can't immediately jump to a reason why someone would just have that lying around or have that and wear that regularly. Like, that's kind of where my brain immediately went. So I just want to throw that out there too. And then immediately, like, I don't know if you noticed me zoning out a little bit, like thinking about, okay, why would someone want to wear it? And again, privileged position. Like, what if you're volunteering in certain neighborhoods where things might not be safe? We had some unhoused encampment closures and sweeps here in the cities not too long ago. And that honestly would be a situation where I might want to wear something like that underneath, so it wasn't visible, like underneath the shirt, because you never know. Someone living in a situation like that might suddenly whip something out, and I'm just there handing out water bottles and pamphlets telling you where to, like, you might get some services, and they decide through what cloud they're in, hey, this apparition looks rather scary, pow. So sorry, random thoughts of Lindsay while y'all were talking.
But you're also not a violent convicted felon, though.
That's kind of the other point. I wouldn't own it for so many reasons, but also I'm not a violent that you know of anyway.
Let me give you some perspective.
Give me 5 minutes, Lindsay. I will find out everything.
Oh, that's
nuts!
Veiled
criminal.
I was assuming again. How bad of me! I'm assuming.
So before we move forward, Barbara, thank you for the $5 super chat and also
Barbara.
the 5 gifted memberships. I appreciate that. Let me give you guys a thought that I've had all day long as I've been running this through my head. So you have a convicted felon, whatever they did.
Yeah.
Think about all the things that are removed from a felon's life.
Yeah.
All right. So just a short list of them: voting and civic participation. So they can't, hold public office, do jury duty, vote, anything like that. Obviously the firearms and weapons restrictions on employment. So what kind of jobs they can hold, military service, restrictions on housing, restrictions on benefits, some parenting restrictions, sometimes travel restrictions, immigration consequences if they're not a citizen, all sorts of things. Now, where that is important to me is there's no way that somebody with that level of offense, unless they have a family that's got coin, there's no way they're living in a good area. Right. So we're asking them to go back into neighborhoods that are probably going to be crime ridden, potentially violent, because that's the only place they can go. And we're telling them, yeah, you can't carry a weapon to protect yourself, but you also can't passively protect yourself either. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's messed
Yeah,
up.
I see that point too.
And
Yeah, I see
another
that
thing that kind of stood out to me, like just in thinking about this, is they didn't really specify violent felon. It was just felon, right?
I believe the
No,
law is for
so
specific
it-
violent felonies.
Violent
Okay,
felonies.
because I'm thinking,
So in Texas, it's any felon,
Yes.
yeah. So
and then the federal law is violent felon. Yes.
so in Texas, you commit felony embezzlement. You commit felony insert white collar crime here. And suddenly you have that taken away as well. You aren't violent. Your crime was probably financial or tech
You
something
stole
or other.
$2,000 from a retail store.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
suddenly you can't wear this particular piece because you're blanketed in with, someone who committed a more violent felony. I'm trying not to use certain words that'll get this flagged. But
Yeah. It's see that part, that's I could almost even understand. I don't agree with, but I could understand the logic behind violent felon. Again, I don't agree with it, but now when you start talking about somebody that has a third theft conviction in Texas, for example, for stealing a pack of gum, as Judge Stevens would say, how is that person wearing body armor going to be dangerous? And I think back to kind of how Dan couched this at the beginning, to where, because it was harder to shoot somebody, so I guess, we're preparing just in case that person decides to become violent. Is this like a Minority Report thing? What are we, I'm trying to understand the logic behind it. Again, I get the no firearms thing. But that part is something I'm having the hardest time understanding. And people say, well, why do you need this and why do you need that? And well, I've never worn body armor, okay, and I've lived in areas where I probably should go around at night wearing it. Maybe even where I live right now might, outside of this little neighborhood I'm in, might not be a bad idea. But I guess where I'm having the hard time is, what do felons? I mean, I know they give up all their rights, and yeah, I know they did stuff wrong and everything, but they did pay their debt to society, so to speak. Yes. So shouldn't they at least have the ability to protect themselves? I mean, and again, not firearms. Okay, fine, you have to reapply for that, but yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. I'm just trying to talk myself through it and figure it out in real time, and I just can't. I can't come up with a good excuse.
Okay, so
in a way that would be,
go ahead, Austin.
To piggyback off Michael's point, it is still protecting yourself wearing body armor, but it's more defensively.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
You're not shooting somebody. So
it's passive protection.
Everybody should have that.
And by the way, let's say you committed a felony. Teenagers are teenagers. They're going to do teenager things. Someone 18 years old might go for a joyride in a car, okay? Steal a car. In Texas, it's a state jail felony. All right? State jail felony, that's still a felony. It's the lowest felony they have there, up to 2 years in the state jail facility. Okay. Now, let's say 30 years later, what? So because I did a dumb teenager thing, now I have a family. Now, as Lindsay's talking about, I'm out volunteering. I'm maybe in an area that's not the safest. I'm not carrying a firearm, but I'm like, I'm trying to do good for society now. I did something dumb as a teenager. I'm doing something good for society. I'd like to wear something to protect myself in this area while still being able to help people. I can't because, state jail felony 30 years ago. That seems like a really silly thing.
For the violent under position, what I think they might have been going for is that how many times do we see felons reoffend? And it's quite a lot. I would say a high rate of people back up in prison. And they are afraid they would their violent act. So it's a proactive stance on their part to. I'm just trying to figure it out.
I know you are, but no.
It's a proactive stance on their
No.
part, just in case they reoffend again.
No, and I get that, but
the firearms
damn it,
part,
you don't just throw somebody out on the street. Wrongway made a good point here in the chat where he said, what if it's an ex-gang member and they're targeted after they get out of prison?
Yeah.
That's a legit thing. Why do we make people, and we do this soft target BS all across the US all the time. This is soft target on a personal level.
Yeah.
Mr. Felon, sir, you screwed up. So guess what? We're going to make it easier for you to die. That is not America. That is not right. I don't care what anybody says. That is bull.
We've already taken away your voting rights. We've taken away your ability to do civic service, civil service, working on a jury duty, whatever, or doing jury duty. We've taken away pretty much, all of your privileges. It's going to be impossible for you to get a license
or a job
for certain types of jobs. Getting jobs in general is going to be a lot tougher. Mm-hmm. So now you're going to be, again, pointing out what Dan and Lindsay have been talking about. You're probably going to be in a lower socioeconomic area, which by its nature is going to be more dangerous in most areas. So you don't get to protect yourself. So anyway, good luck, everybody. Yeah, I don't know. This is one that this is one of those laws. We have a few of these that we run across that I think are overly punitive and kind of arbitrary, and I just don't understand the logic behind it. Some things I understand the logic, I may not agree with. This is one I don't even understand the logic.
This one, it almost feels like an not overcorrection, but I feel like every time there's something like this on the books that makes you kind of go, what, huh? It's a correction or overcorrection for something that actually happened. In this case, that case in California. So that it's just like, okay, well, we couldn't take the guy down, so none of y'all get to wear this. It's the overcorrection.
Yeah, that's a police problem, not an us problem, quite honestly.
And really,
that is not. If you cue the guy in the foot, he's gonna go down.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, too, Lindsay, while we were talking. Is if you somebody in another body place, I mean, it's gonna hurt, and it's not. It's going to,
I will say that you're trained to aim center mass. Because that is the easiest target, the most likely to strike, the less likely to go downrange and hit something else.
That's fair.
So you have to have those concerns as well. But again, quite honestly, I'm sorry, that is a police problem. That is not an us problem. We joke here, and it was true. And Michael, you'll remember here how we had in Maricopa County the law for the horse and the gun when you got out of jail. I would be in favor, quite honestly, if we're going to remove everything else from these people and we're going to return them into a violent world, because majority of them, again, unless they've got family money, that's where they're going.
Yeah.
At least to start. Hopefully they can work their way out, but at least to start. I would be in favor of giving them body armor and saying, look, you can't have a weapon, no knives, no guns, no katanas, no crossbows, no nothing.
Compound bows.
Nothing.
They
but
have those.
here's some body armor because we know we're turning you loose in a bad area.
Technically,
That would make more sense to me. And honestly, again, if there's some hardened criminal who has got body armor on and they're going to rob a bank or whatever and they shoot the place up, well, you know what? Body armor or not, they were determined to do some harm. And it's not like they're going to go, well, shit, I can't have body armor, so I guess I'm not going to do this. Do you really think that? Really? Yep. That's just, no. They're going to do it anyways because they have violence in their heart.
Yeah,
right.
A lot of these violent offenders weren't created in a vacuum. They're products of their environment. And a lot of times they're returning to these environments where the violence beget the violence. Like, yeah, I get it.
And to make another article, if they're not allowed, what keeps them from acquiring body armor anyway? If they're going to do illegal, like violent illegal, that is. If they're going to be put behind bars anyway, why stop there type thing?
Well, I have a question. And again, maybe this is just pedantic or something, but I mean,
pedantry. I love it.
So why? So are they allowed to have bulletproof glass on their house? I mean, serious. Where's the line then? Like, what protection can somebody have that may have a felony conviction? Can you have
glass
bulletproof
commercially available? Like, can I just go to Windows R Us down the street and right next to Joe's house of meth?
You can get it.
Yeah, you can get it.
Okay.
Beth used to work for a shower door company where they dealt in glass and whatnot. So that stuff's available.
Bulletproof shower doors?
Well, I'm not saying that's what she did, but they had suppliers. They had suppliers that could get that stuff.
Yeah. That's my thought when it's like, you are into some nonsense if you have bulletproof shower doors.
I could see somebody doing that.
I could too.
Oh, I could too.
I could too, 100%.
Yeah.
But you are into some nonsense, either metaphorical or literal, if that's what you're doing.
No, I agree.
But I will say, I just wonder, what, and again, we say you can't have guns, you can't have knives, but can you have, steak knives? Can you have big butcher knives? I mean, there's some knives that are, are kitchen knives that are much more dangerous than some switchblade. Right. Some laws make sense. I get some laws make sense. Some laws are just very, okay, I get that. Some just don't make sense. And some of the things that we do for felons just doesn't make sense. Even the voting rights thing is kind of weird too. Like, okay, you stole $2,000 worth of merchandise. So you don't get to have any say as to what happens in your local community or on a state or federal level because of that.
So just a quick peruse through the Googles. It is entirely legal for civilians to buy and install bullet-resistant / bulletproof glass for homes, businesses, and vehicles in the U.S. and most other regions. No special government or police permits are required. No federal bans. I don't think... Yeah.
Well, that makes this make even less sense to me.
Armoring a personal car is legal, although rare international regions or specific provinces, quote, like British Columbia, may require modification permits.
I want to see somebody be a smartass and wear one of those like medieval metal suits out in public.
Just wear some full plate mail.
Yeah,
you can buy pint glasses and shot glasses with an actual bullet embedded in it. Just for the record. These are the things that happens when you search, where can I buy bulletproof glass?
You're wearing body armor. Yes, well, I'm actually... sir, I'll have you know this is full plate mail armor, not your conventional Kevlar. You
can buy it at Alibaba. Wholesale ballistic glass.
Someone wearing chainmail.
I don't think I'd buy it on Alibaba.
But you can. That's the thing. And someone in this situation might, if they have.
I have a feeling that's just regular glass.
Temu bulletproof glass is frightening.
Yeah.
Probably actually attracts bullets.
Probably.
Oh my gosh. This is just such a... and you know what? Now we're getting into this area. Okay, so you can have armor for your vehicle. You could actually have an armored vehicle because, I mean, so I could walk around with a fully pimped out ride, all armored up. I could have,
I don't agree with that at all.
Did I mention that a tank is a tank? Like,
right? I don't get this stuff. I really don't. I'm bothered on two levels. I'm bothered on the how dare you tell anybody, regardless of what they've done, that they can't have passive defense for their life.
Yeah.
That offends me at the core. But the other thing that offends me at the core about all this is lawmakers running wild. Yep. This is the most jackass thing to me that I can think of, because it makes zero sense. The last time I checked, a bulletproof vest has not killed somebody. What are you going to do? Swing it and hit somebody in the head? They'll go, ow. And then they'll probably punch you. And that will be that.
Lawmakers running wild sounds like a.
I'm still behind my
VHS.
theory.
Which is?
Well, that was a headline on one of the news sites the other day, with one of them running wild with a Chinese lady. But that's another story. But
hold up, I missed something.
What'd you miss?
Why are we running around with a Chinese lady?
No, that's a separate thing. Michael was referencing lawmakers running wild because that's what I said. And then I pointed out that there was a story on a news site the other day about one of them running around with a Chinese lady who was probably a spy.
Yeah.
So that version of running wild, that's a separate story.
Okay.
But no, it just jackass decisions.
You lose the track of the tangents.
No, I get it. But no, just jackass decisions on laws that we make that we punish people for the bad decisions of somebody else. And quite frankly, again, if we reference the North Hollywood situation, which was part of the impetus for this law, those people were going to do what they did. Yeah. There's going to be no stopping them, whether they could legally. Why do we pass laws to make things illegal to stop criminals? They're fucking criminals. For God's sakes, they're going to get what they want to get.
That's what I was
said
saying
it before. Give me a couple $100, set me in Maryvale for a couple of hours, and I'll walk away with a firearm.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt.
Just that simple. It can be had.
Aggravated. Yeah.
Ain't no law going to stop anything, but we punish everybody. Again, this is a cop problem. All right.
Yeah.
It's a problem for the police to deal with, the exception, not to have all of us have our lives changed because of the exception. Yep. I'm gonna take a breath a minute. Continue.
Yeah, this is just, again, this is one of those things. I as much as I may be, I have a hardline stance on certain things. This is one of those just weird topics because, again, I just think of the people that do dumb things when they're young and dumb, and then the rest of your life you're like, okay, well, I can't do anything anymore. Yeah. And yes, there's certain crimes where I get it, but not when it comes to this. This is one of those I don't get it, and I don't care. There's nothing that you can say that's going to change my mind on this or convince me, because I've really tried to think of everything. I've tried to really look at this from any standpoint where I could be like, okay, yeah, now I understand, but I don't know. We talk about strange laws on Sidebar all the time, or just in the TCF chat or whatever that we encounter. And there's a few that I've heard in Florida, some of these, like fishing without like you're telling me I can't wear body armor because I fished out of season.
That's kind of what I'm thinking about. That was kind of my point about like white collar or nonviolent crime. Yeah. Granted, my brain was a little bit more in an episode of The Office and less in Jackson County, but like that point stands too. Like you fished out a season and suddenly for the rest of your life, all your rights are taken away. Meanwhile, in Michigan, you're just going to plead down to impeding traffic and go on your merry way.
God, I gotta say that would have made a great crossover event. Michael Scott in Florida, man.
That
Well,
one.
weren't the Saber folks
Anyways.
technically out of Florida? Like, didn't we introduce the whole Florida narrative?
Oh yeah,
with
Saber
that?
was from Florida. That's fair.
Yep.
I'm not any less pissed off about this as we talk it out.
No, I'm actually.
That's kind
I'm
of how I
probably
thought this
more
episode
annoyed.
might go. It's like we're just going to get really wound up,
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole of all rabbit holes.
I'm more annoyed about it now than I was at the start of the show because I've thought about, the ramifications, and I've thought about not just a violent criminal, but which may be the federal statute, but the state statutes I've thought about too.
Yep.
And that does not make me feel any better. Yeah.
Well, Michael, you've talked especially about how you feel that pretty much everybody except the sex offender crowd can be rehabilitated.
Right.
Even somebody who's done a murder.
Yeah.
So, and we've seen this out of Louisiana when we watched the parole board. What about these people who have turned it around? What about these people who have made something of their lives? Are we really going to tell somebody who did something stupid when they were like 17, they've spent 40 years in prison paying the price for it, but they fixed themselves, we set them loose, and then we tell them, yeah, you can't enjoy even a passive level of protection that every other American gets.
Yeah.
But you can have an armored car. What the?
Now,
Like
yeah,
I said, it feels like a very targeted overreaction to one incident.
That's exactly what it is.
I think of yesterday.
Lost Ashley.
I think of yesterday and Judge Aquilina on second session.
Yes.
The guy that went in there and has clearly turned his life around and went and applied for to set aside his convictions from 22 years ago. And I thought, when we started to talk about this case, I thought about that guy too. And I know, yes, you can apply to have your rights reinstated and you can go through that process like this guy did with Judge Aquilina. And maybe you get it and maybe you don't. But for me, I think of a guy like that and I think, that's a guy that is out there. And I think that's what triggered it when Lindsay was talking about going out into the, doing volunteering and stuff. And that's exactly what that guy is doing.
Yeah.
A guy like that, before Judge Aquilina set aside his convictions and expunged them, a guy like that could not go into those areas and help out and wear body armor. And I know there's a thought process of, well, you're just being paranoid if you want to do that. And why would you want to? And it's silly. And, I've never worn it either, but that doesn't mean that somebody else shouldn't be able to just because I haven't.
Yeah, it's highly unlikely I would ever purchase it, wear it, need it. That'd be a purchase I'd really have to do some explaining about. But because
Lindsay,
I don't think I need to doesn't mean...
If you went and volunteered in South St. Paul and let's just say someone said, hey, we got
if
some
someone
body
said,
armor.
hey, this is sketchy, we have these available,
Yeah.
I would consider it.
I
But
would
I
wear it.
don't know that I would personally purchase it for my own
Sure.
walk to and from the train station every day.
Yeah, but that's your personal
Yeah,
choice,
I would-
and,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
respect
It's
that.
my
But
choice.
would you be okay with that right being taken away from you?
That is a question that could open a can of worms about rights being taken away in this country, Daniel. But no, I would not be okay with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
I'm
definitely
generally in favor
many
of
cans
rights
of
not
worms.
being taken away.
Right.
No. It's same thing here. We have way too many laws. I can boil it down to 10 simple ones. Let's just follow those.
Mhm.
Everything. Yeah. Lone Wolf put in the chat earlier that laws are meant to be more population control than criminal control.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
I think that's totally true.
Well said.
And this is yet another example of that. And it's why I have never been in favor of big government. That does not make me a right-leaning lunatic, by the way. It makes me sensible. Because I've never seen a government, left or right, that has your best interests at heart all the time. They have their own interests at heart.
And Dan, I have to say, and again, because it always creeps into politics, I think that both left and right, if we followed both of the principles of both sides, both would agree, I think, that you should be able to protect yourself like that. Because both are, the left would have a fear of the police state. The right is supposedly about smaller governments, supposedly, and the smaller government would certainly, and being able to protect yourself is right in line with the supposed goals of the right wing. So I would think both sides would be cool with it. And yet it's weird that it seems both fight against this stuff. Why? So often in our justice system, we find that there's a lot of hypocrisy. And I think this is one that we just sort of stumbled upon yesterday. And before yesterday, I don't think any of us knew about this.
Yeah. You could hear the collective clicking of keyboards when this popped up. I think we all were like, what?
I was on the phone. I came back just to hear kind of the start or just sort of the genesis of this case going on. And I went, wait, that's a thing? I like to think I know about a lot of weird laws and crazy stuff.
Yeah.
That's one I had not ever heard of.
I'd never had reason to think about it until before yesterday.
Good.
The national ban on it or control, but I didn't know how each individual state or most states have conditions as well. So that was something I learned after doing the research.
I have information.
Uh-oh.
I was curious.
That's a scary statement.
What did Groff tell you this time?
The original provision here was passed as part of the James Gulf Chris McCurley Body Armor Act of 2002.
Right.
It was incorporated into a larger 21st Century Department of Justice Appropriations Authorization Act. The standalone bill was passed by unanimous consent in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
The House-related bill was passed by a voice vote. In 2002, this thing passed the House 400-4, passed the Senate 93-5, and then was immediately signed by George W. Bush.
Wow.
Post 9/11.
400-4 in the House.
Yeah.
My
Oh
God.
yeah, it's that time
betrayal.
period too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 9/11 was a tragedy. We all agree upon that.
Yeah.
But the not as much talked about tragedy, unfortunately, is how we all went, okay, and gave up all of our rights.
We just bent right on over and accepted daddy government right after that.
Yeah.
That was such a strange time. I was in my early 20s, and that was brutal. Early and mid 20s.
Yep.
That was I remember it so well too. And the Patriot Act, I had a live show back then, and I used to talk about that. I was like, boy, this sounds like something that could really come back to bite us down the road. Why are we just letting that happen? And then it was like, well, other things passed through as well. And I don't know if I talked about this specific thing back then. I'd have to go back and listen to my old shows, but these are the kind of laws that sneak in there, and people at the time kind of go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Gee, Fred, I don't know. The girls ain't going to like it. It's one of those things. It's like people just kind of dumbfounded, kind of let it go. Like, Yeah, security. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I think anything in that era that, I think security is the word. Anything that kind of made it feel like we're not going to let this happen again. I think at that point in time and where we were as a society, as a country, as a planet, we're like, yes, go, absolutely.
Right.
And I remember, so I was still in high school when a lot of this was being moved through. And then my freshman year at college, I took a persuasive writing course, and we had to do like pick a controversial topic or pick a topic and write the opposite argument. And we had to draw, and I drew Patriot Act. I'm like, I can't write about the opposite. This is what I like, what I stand for and what we all believe in. And my teacher's like, just consider. And in 2003, that was just a mind-blowing thing. Like, I can't consider the alternative.
Right.
And that's woke liberal universities brainwashing you right there. I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
perhaps.
I just, that's one of those things too. And I think about, all these things that we and we did it under the guise of, but okay, that you're thinking like before 2001 kind of mindset. Now, what if a terrorist, with a bomb is going down the street, we can't have them have body armor. I mean, come on, that's dangerous. I'm like, think about what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
I think someone wearing body armor is the least of our problems if they're walking down the street with a bomb. Like, I mean, why? What is the law? And by the way, they're already committing multiple felonies, multiple terrible things that they're doing right now, and yet we're focusing on the goddamn body armor. I am sorry, but when, the more we talk this through, I'm like, wait, this is just dumb. And we're taking up the court's time with it. Meanwhile, some guy that did child stuff or whatever, that's the thing we should be focusing on. How about the real crimes? I'm sorry. This is just what a friggin', and there's other laws that are like this too, and I feel the same way about them. What a absolute waste.
Yeah. I'm looking.
But Mike, the terrorists, like,
I think of that scenario you just were talking about. The body armor issue would have been his least. That one would have probably been thrown out in the deal.
Exactly. This is so stupid. I'm like, but and I think of that time frame. Again, when 9/11 happened, it was my last semester in college, and I'm thinking, and every argument people would have is, but the terrorists. And I'm like, and that became
trying to play that argument, but
that argument is still out there to this day. And it's just as ridiculous. It's actually even more ridiculous now than it was then.
Yeah.
But it's just insanity. But we've used that argument to justify a lot of stupid. And now we're trying to, just like the guy in McNally's court today that just couldn't accept the fact that he was going 5 over. Digging with that shovel, trying to get ourselves out of this mess that we've put ourselves in.
Another Lindsay makes faces in the skyway listening to Courtroom.
Oh my God, that was.
I muttered, "Oh my God, stop it!" a couple times, and I'm sure people must have thought I was like on a call or something. I don't know, but like
I almost suggested that for Sidebar.
Like, oh my God, shut up.
Like stupid. It's just dumb. I just think of how stupid people are when they get there. But yeah, this was a good topic. It's just that stupid laws are just. This is one of the worst. Yeah, it's not quite on the level of it's not quite on the level of you can't have 5 women living in the same household, stupid, like we have in Maricopa County. That's actually that was actually a law.
College town.
Yeah.
No sorority houses because
Yep. But
wow.
this is still up there. Yeah, that was actually a law in Maricopa County about having, I think it was six. It's 5 or 6 females living in the same, and the reason for that is,
unrelated females too.
Because they could be running a brothel in there.
So,
Actually, to use the voice that's more characteristic of the time, they could be running a brothel in there. That's firecrackers. So go ahead, Dan.
That was a good voice.
I was curious, so I looked it up, because one of the things that always gets me is when somebody uses the word common sense when they describe a law. If something is labeled as common sense, run in the other direction, because there is no common sense to it. I don't care who it comes from. So I pulled what was talked about during the time that this was debated and passed. Nobody that I can find on the record used the phrase common sense. However, Dianne Feinstein, she described the bill as closing a, quote, glaring gap in the law. She said it was unquestionable that criminals with violent intentions are more dangerous when wearing body armor, and called it unconscionable that felons could obtain and wear body armor without restriction while police officers lacked comparable protection. This is, I don't know what she's talking about there, because our police are armed like the damned military now.
What year was this passed, this ban?
2001.
They might not have been wearing the full tactical gear everywhere all the time.
They are now.
They are now.
Our police are way over militarized.
Our sheriff in Maricopa County at the time bought a friggin' tank.
Yes.
Like a literal tank. Did I say a tank was a tank? I mean, no, he like literally a tank. Like, I don't know if it was a Sherman tank, but an actual tank.
Yes.
So there's now a law on the books where a lot of the military equipment that is no longer good for the military can be purchased at a steep discount by
local
police.
Yeah, no, they're all running around with military surplus stuff.
Yep,
yeah.
which is personnel carriers, I think body armor, maybe, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I am not anti-police, but I am anti-arming the police like they're the damned military. And I'm also tired of like apologizing for the police and trying to put them up on this pedestal about how they have to be protected and everything else. And this whole garbage about, well, they just need to get home safe. Don't we all?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you signed up for that job, you know the risk. You know the risk that you take every day. It is part of the job. And I'm tired of our rights being interfered with because a cop is concerned that he's not going to go home at the end of the day. So he treats us like we're a criminal straight away, regardless of what the situation is.
And you know what, Dan?
And then we've got laws like this body armor BS. It just, no, I'm sorry. You picked the job, deal with the job. If you're worried about your safety in the job, go do another job.
That you kind of struck it there. We're writing laws based on something that might happen.
Yeah.
Or what could happen.
Yeah, that's pretty much what
and that gets and it gets into that Minority Report thing again. It's like we're trying to predict the future with writing laws and so the vast majority of citizens pay for it. And even people that, and again, you guys are just defending felons, and you guys just think it's okay for felons to do whatever. Again, I even said at the beginning of this, I'm okay with violent felons not having firearms. I'm fine with a guy that's got 4 domestic violence, felonies not having a firearm. I'm fine with it. But at the same time, if we want to talk about common sense, let's talk about what makes sense, and body armor ain't going to kill anybody. It's kind of there to make sure that you don't instantly die. And by the way, body armor doesn't like magically stop all bullets. Just so you know.
Yeah.
If you've ever watched, tests of body armor and its durability, sure, you fire a couple of 22s at it. It's not not going to penetrate it. But I mean, I will tell you that get out your old Bushmaster, you'll cut right through that thing. You cut right through body armor pretty fast, and that's and police have that stuff. They don't just walk around with a 38 special anymore.
No.
So
and actually, so just to touch on the case that Ashley and I were talking about,
what?
We found that's actually what they ended up doing, the police, because at the time LAPD only had rifles or shotguns and handguns. So they actually went to local sporting goods stores and gun shops to get weapons, to borrow weapons, to eventually make it through this body armor for these guys. And that was the only way, because at that time, the law enforcement was not equipped with it. The stuff to deal with it. Which that just is insane to me. That they can just go, here, I need a weapon.
Lindsay's gonna be on a
I'm
list.
gonna be on a list. I'm sorry.
She's
Lindsay,
going.
if you've attached yourself to this channel, which you already have, you're already on multiple lists. Trust me.
Oh,
It's
we
okay.
should consensus on the government.
You did look
heavily
that up in
opposed
incognito
tank
mode, right?
cannons. Oh, so it is restricted as part of the It's restricted because I guess a tank cannon doesn't count as arms.
Well, back in the day, millionaires were like privateers. They had battleships and stuff.
Okay. The restriction is a regulatory framework managed under the National Firearms Act of 1934 and the Gun Control Act of 1968. Under these federal laws, an operational tank gun is classified as a destructive device, any firearm with a bore diameter greater than half an inch. Civilians are legally allowed to own functional destructive devices, but the law requires them to pass an extensive ATF background check, so there go the felons, obtain local law enforcement approval, also there go the felons, and pay a $200 federal tax stamp for the cannon itself, plus an additional $200 tax stamp for every single explosive shell. What am I reading out loud on the internet? Oh my God.
So in other words, and I knew this before, but you can own a tank.
Yep.
You can
A
own a
citizen
tank,
can
you
own
own
a
a fighter
tank.
jet.
You can own a Civil War cannon.
Yeah.
If you want.
Oh my
Yeah, I
God.
kind of want.
Yeah.
I might want to warn my husband what might happen. Brandon, there might be people at the door in the morning. Don't worry about it.
Might be a cannon salesman at your door, and I don't mean the cameras. Have you considered purchasing our Civil War cannon? What's that, Lindsay?
I think our nice camera is a cannon.
Yes. Yeah, we so see where I live. I mean, having a cannon around would definitely, probably not be a bad idea. But I don't know. This whole thing, it leads down a ridiculous road, and people might say, what a ridiculous conversation. And you know what? It is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that we even have to have that in this country where, and Dan is unapologetically 2A. I'm more of a, I wish we lived in a society where we didn't have to have 2A and where we didn't have to have people carrying guns around all over the place. But that's called fantasy land. Where we actually live is a place where we have to, unfortunately, it's a necessity that people have protections. And that includes felons should at least be able to have protection, not necessarily offense, but at least defense. And I that's why this whole thing is ridiculous. It's a completely ridiculous conversation that we shouldn't even have to have. And again,
but I'm glad we're having it because
I know I am glad we're having it.
Of Sidebar.
I am glad but it just highlights and so many things that we talk about on Sidebar are things that, and this is one where the solution is just the fact that, the solution's obvious. This shouldn't be on the books, but now we know how the genesis of how it got to be here, and that is, as I sort of didn't even know how it passed. Both parties just decided to pass it because, again, that was the time.
Yeah.
Because the terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know who the 4 people in the House and the 5 people in the Senate who voted against it were.
I'll find out.
Yeah.
I would love to know that. I maybe the answer is unsurprising, or maybe it's actually very surprising. I don't know.
Looking it up now.
Yeah. I know. I'm certain I know who was in favor of it, given the people that were around at the time, and some are still alive because for some reason, we in Michigan we say that 70 is too old to be a judge, but we still let people make laws.
Not too old to be a senator, apparently.
Jesse Helms was 179 and was still in Congress.
Has anybody confirmed that Mitch McConnell's alive, by the way? Because that was a thing a few weeks ago where they weren't even sure he was alive.
I'm not sure he's been alive for the last 30 years.
He is legally alive.
Yeah, he is alive. He
Legally
had
alive.
a
That's
really
interesting.
severe fall, and he was taking time off to.
That's what I mean by the legally alive.
Yeah.
All right.
Time off might be a coma, but he's legally alive.
I have
Apparently the comment came
the
from
answer
him.
on who voted against this bill. So people
Okay.
I would like. Interestingly, they're all Republican.
Really?
John Duncan Jr. from Tennessee.
Okay.
This is in the House. Jeff Flake from here in Arizona.
Arizona.
Remember him?
That's surprising.
Brian Kearns, Republican, Indiana.
Yep.
And Ron Paul.
Well, Ron Paul, that's
That's
not surprising.
Yes.
That's
That's
the one that doesn't surprise
Yep.
me.
Now, the Senate, Phil Gramm of Texas,
Also surprising.
Trent Lott, Mississippi, if you
Oh
remember
my
Trent.
God. Trent Lott.
Throwback name.
Richard Lugar, Republican, Indiana.
I remember him.
Rick Santorum, Republican, Pennsylvania, if you remember him.
You.
Wow.
And Bob Smith, Republican, New Hampshire.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Names there.
That's some
So-
names.
There's some names there, all Republican. Every single Democrat voted for it, and almost all of the Republicans. So it's about as sweeping of a vote as you can get.
Yep. And then
to-
Republican presidents signed it.
Yep. To take away something that should be a given for any American who wants it.
Yeah.
And we
That is-
vote these idiots in.
That's yeah.
In my
that
defense,
is-
I wasn't old enough to vote yet.
Yeah.
I had
same.
just become old enough to vote, and
I was
so
in second grade.
I
Yeah.
was, though none of these people who voted against were where I lived at the time. I was in Ohio. But I lived in a very Democratic district. Like
Yeah.
for 100 years, it's been Democratic. So, if the Democrats were all in on this, then most certainly the people that I had representing me would
Yeah.
have been in on it.
it's weird. It's just so weird that how that went. But again, our history is like that, and will continue to be. We'll always use fear as a means to pass these laws, and then, years down the road, we'll talk about them right here on Sidebar. And I'm just wondering now. This, sorry, Lindsay, I just wanted to say
Go
this.
ahead.
This makes me wonder what other laws are out there that we don't know about that are going to come up.
Probably,
in court.
probably a good
So
bit.
many.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting here thinking, like, what could we possibly try to push through Congress right now that would get that kind of majority? I don't think we could, because I think so many of these
I don't
folks
think so.
ran purely on disagreeing with each other.
Other than giving themselves a pay raise.
If something happens here in the US that's major, it doesn't even need to be like a 9/11 level thing, but if there's some kind of attack, go like the level of Oklahoma City. Everybody will line up behind Trump and they'll vote for whatever anybody wants.
Yeah.
You think
That's
so?
what it will take.
Or any president in the future
Yep.
as well.
Yeah, it's not just Trump, it's anybody. I mean,
Because-
it doesn't matter.
Again, right after 9/11, remember, I mean,
Yeah.
there was this brief period, and it was brief, but there was this like and I don't know. I mean, part of it was great that, yeah, there was a lot of kumbaya going around and a lot of rah USA rah stuff.
Yeah, I remember.
But it was also a weird time because stuff like this was just being pushed through and there was almost no debate. There was a few people, like talking heads on TV. There was a few of them that pushed back being like, I don't know if we should do this. And I was one of the people, you know, with my little show on the internet, like, gee, I don't know if we should just ramrod through all this warrantless wiretaps and searches and all that. It sounds like that's something that could come back and bite us years later. But I don't know. Who am I? Well, you know, and then of course it did, but.
Yeah. And then there was 16-year-old me like, well, they're just trying to keep us safe, you know, parroting whatever I was hearing around me. And
sure,
I don't know that I was capable of critical thought at that point in my life, but things have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember that. And it's interesting that came because that election right before that was probably the closest thing we'd had to contentious, just purely because of like what happened in the aftermath.
Yeah.
And, like the first time I really saw people really kind of divide on party lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that happened. Was... Like, oh, we'll be fine. See, we can come back together. And
yeah, that was definitely a big turning point, like helm hard over in this country, at least in my lifetime. I'll say that was a big turning point. It's right about there.
Yep. Well, speaking of turning points, it's probably about time to turn the page on this episode and hand this crowd over to Lone Wolf, because that's what we do here now. But final thoughts, anybody on this? Ashley, you got anything for us?
Totally. You guys knocked it out of the park, I think. I think this needed to be talked about and brought to the surface for sure. I definitely can see a little bit of both sides, which is why I've kind of been just listening. I still kind of, I don't know, kind of in the middle. I don't lean one way or the other. But I definitely don't like that we just found out about this by researching that, you know, that wasn't possible. I mean, I've had personal experience or people that I've known that were felons. I didn't know that applied to them. So I just don't think, I don't know. It's weird that this hasn't been brought up before, for sure. I guess that's my final thought.
I agree. Austin?
I do not think that body armor should be controlled like it is. And learning the background to it, I kind of can see where it happened and don't agree with that. But yeah. Thanks for having a nice, quiet, or a good discussion where both sides could be heard if wanted.
That's what we try to do here.
Yes.
Lindsay?
I'm on a list. There's no way around at this point. I'm on a list. I'm not going to be allowed to own body armor in the U.S.
Yep.
No, I mean, it was a good conversation. I think there was like more that we just all needed to say than the chat and the framework of the morning show allowed us to really get out. So I'm glad that the five of us got to vocalize it, and I'm glad that folks in the chat were able to, you know, chime in as well. I think it was another good discussion and proof that we can disagree and still get along. So maybe this is the partisanship that we need to model for the rest of the world.
Yeah, as long as it's not the ridiculous partisanship that happened on that vote.
Bipartisanship, maybe then is that. Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah,
what? Either way, it was bad.
Same
Michael?
Yeah.
You know, fear is something that is we should fear. That's the one thing, as FDR said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, because it is a motivator to do things that are counterintuitive to our best interests at the time and especially in the future. And people will use that to manipulate situations. It has been done through the past, present, and will be done in the future. And we need to be extra vigilant, hyper vigilant in times where we're afraid, and we need to focus on what needs to be done rather than what fear is driving us to do. And that's how we get in these kinds of situations where we talk about these ridiculous laws. And it's, you know, as ridiculous as this is, there's other ones that are far more frightening than this that were passed at that time that we've been talking about tonight and will be passed in the future under this ... but the terrorists or but the whatever incident. And make that the centerpiece to drive people to do what we want because we want to make them afraid. And that's something that I hope we can avoid and be more vigilant about going forward.
I agree.
Hear, hear.
I think you all know where I stand on this, so I don't think there's a specific need to completely beat that drum again. However, I will say this, Michael, you were talking about how fear affects us.
Yeah.
One of my secret weapons, and I encourage all of you to develop this if you can, be fearless in everything that you do. Because the worst thing that can happen most of the time is that you fail in something and you learn from that. So be fearless. Fear destroys. Fearlessness destroys a lot less. Just my little words of wisdom there. And I will also say this. We've uncovered a lot of this kind of stuff on the almost 2 years that we've been here. With the laws we didn't realize happened, court procedure that we didn't fully understand, and we're like, why is it done this way? There's a lot that we uncover here. And if there's ever a reason for this channel to exist beyond the fact that thank you because it supports my family, but I think one of the best use cases for this channel is the fact that we uncover so much here that we had no idea was a thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the beauty of this. Yeah, it was a spicy discussion tonight, but I don't think any of us were really aware of this ahead of time.
Nope.
So I think it's great to learn the things that we run across here that we had no idea about. I think is valuable.
No, really, you were kind of watching all of us like process this more or less in real time because what we learned about this 36 hours ago.
Yeah.
That's when we were watching the main show and this popped up. So a lot of what you were watching is like this stuff processing.
And finding out it was actually a federal, it was on a federal level too, was mind blowing too. I'm like, what? Because
federally, you can't wear body armor. Felon, but tank as long as
one thing about what Ashley just said, the history prevails.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I remember that from history class.
Yes, it does.
Well, friends, what will we learn tomorrow? We'll find out. We'll be back in the morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, so do join us. In the meantime, go watch you some Lone Wolf. We'll throw it over there in just a moment. Take care. God bless.
Bye.
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 Well,